So here's a quick little video on my little mini Donkey Kong that I just finished from a little $13 Chinese Game Boy clone, Game Boy Advance clone. Um, I discovered these things last fall, um, and I bought one like last December, and I think I might have paid around $18 for the first one that I bought, but they're actually all the same, and you can find them as low as $13 on eBay. And it's what it is it's just a cheap little Game Boy clone. Comes with this little card. Says it has like 888,000 games on it. Actually, it doesn't. I actually had got one of these last December, and I came home to find this waiting for me in my mailbox after having had a couple of beers at this place down the street, and I was rather unimpressed with it because the card actually only has like 30 games on it. But at the time, I didn't read the instructions. I didn't know that if you boot the system up without the card in it, it has like another 200 games just located that just are on the board. So I mean, this card is actually only about 30 games. They're repeated over and over and over. I gave this kind of a shitty review when I did it because I was about halfway buzzed and I thought it only had the 30 games on this card. And so in looking at it again, I actually just kind of threw it aside and didn't even do anything with it for a long time. And then about a month later, I looked at it again. I said, well, this thing is actually a good Game Boy clone. And I took a closer look at it and realized it did have darn near 200 games or so on it. There's lots of repeats. That's the frustrating thing about it. However, the games on here are actually they're all Nintendo ROMs, NES ROMs. So it's a mix of American and Japanese releases. So I discovered actually there's a real gold mine of titles on here if you just look. You have to dig through a lot of crappy titles, but I mean, they're actually mostly all NES titles. And there's some really good ones on there. Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, Mario Brothers, Popeye. So in looking at this thing again, I decided to change my attitude about it and work within the parameters of what it could do, and came up with my little Donkey Kong cap. So I mean, the shape, obviously, I mean, in order to be a handheld and to be comfortable, I had to bastardize the shape of the original cap a little bit to be able to just hold it in your hands and play. So it loses a little bit of its scale appearance from the original. It's not as long. Just so it wouldn't be so heavy. A lot of my builds lately, I want to do them a certain size so they're, either a small size or a mid-size or a larger size. But these are fun, and it was cheap to do. So the next part of the video is just going to show you a bunch of gameplay of all the ROMs that are on this thing. What I did to modify this, obviously, is I added a joystick on here. That's a pretty easy process. If you look at the pictures on the post of Facebook, you can see I just ran a screw, drilled a hole in the original D-pad, ran a screw up through the bottom, and there's a plastic spacer between there and the plastic disc over the top of it. And then the lighting, I soldered onto the battery terminal, positive and negative leads, so I could run a lighting circuit, and then I relocated the on-off switch to the back so I could leave the sides clean with no holes. My other Game Boy builds have holes in the sides so you can access the L and R buttons. But since I'm using 99% of the ROMs on this thing don't use the L and R buttons. Even Frontline is configured to not use the L and R buttons, so no need to use them if I'm building a little $13 cap. I'm going to build a bunch of these things, actually. This enables me to build like a Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, Mario Brothers, Popeye, all in little Nintendo caps, which is something you're really never going to see from Bridge Direct or anybody else, because Nintendo is so tight about their licensing and anal and blah blah blah. Well, screw them. I got my little Nintendo collection going now. Anyway, here's some games that it has on it. Enjoy.